Hello, friends. I welcome you all to this 48th session of Law of Evidence, and we will continue with our last topic, that is Law of Stoppable. And in the last session, we saw what is Estoppel, what are the various kinds of Estoppel, and section 115 we saw where the three essential ingredients of Estoppel was seen. That first, there should be a representation, and based on this representation, there should be belief on this representation, and the third party should act to his detriment. Then the representation that was made, it cannot be back, it cannot be turned around, or it cannot be denied. Now we will see section 116 and section 117 of the Evidence Act, where a specific instance of law of evidence has been, law of estoppel has been provided. That is, specific circumstances in which it will be applicable. So let us have a brief overview as to what all we are going to deal. So we will see estoppel of tenants and of licensee of person in possession. So in case there is an immovable property and there is a tenant, then what kind of estoppel would apply? That is part of section 116. Then estoppel with regard to a acceptor of bill of exchange, bailee, and licensee. Then in that case, what type of estoppel would apply? So just like all sections we are doing, to remember it, there are dim, that is dim light. D is that definition. Section 115 deals with definition of estoppel. Section 116 deals with estoppel regarding immovable property, and sections 117 M deals with the movable property. Now let us see what is section 116. Estoppel of tenants and of licensee of person in possession. No tenant of immovable property. So first thing is that it has to be an immovable property or person claiming through such tenant. So, no tenant or person claiming through such tenant shall, during the continuance of tenancy, be permitted to deny that landlord of such tenant had, at the beginning of tenancy, a title to such immovable property. This is the first part. We'll deal with the first part first. So, what it says is that it says estoppel with regard to tenant. So if there is a tenant in an immovable property, and then during the continuance of tenancy, so these are the two things. First, he should be a tenant, and there should be continuance of tenancy. Then he cannot be permitted to deny that the landlord, uh, didn't had a title when the tenancy began. So if I am living on a rented apartment, and I have taken it from a landlord, then during the continuance of tenancy, I cannot say no, no. Right from the beginning, you had no title. Then the second part says that no person who came upon any immovable property by the license of person in possession. So suppose a person A is in possession and B comes on the license of A, thereof shall be permitted to deny that such person had the title at the time when such license was given. So B is entering on the license of A, then we cannot deny that at the time when the A was in possession and A gave license to B, A had no right to give that license. But remember that in this case, the important thing is that of commencement. So what cannot be denied is that at the that at the time of commencement there was title, at the title of landlord, or at the time of commencement of license that the person in possession had the right to give the license. But about subsequent development, you can always, or one can always give the evidence. So there is one case called Moti Lal versus Yar Muhammad. So in this case, it was said that where a landlord files a suit for ejectment, and for arrears of rent. So the landlord has filed for two things. One is for ejectment, and another is that arrears of rent. Who had been in from the tenant? So landlord is certainly asking it from his tenant, who has been put in possession of the property by the landlord. It cannot be allowed to say that landlord has no interest in property of suit. So when the landlord is filing for ejectment and for arrears of rent from his tenant, then that time it cannot be said that right from the beginning the landlord had no right to the property. So please remember, but two things are important, that the time frame is with regard to the commencement of license or commencement of the tenancy. About subsequent development, certainly it can be evidence can be given. Now, section 117, it basically consists of three things. What it says is that one is that estoppel with regard to acceptor of bill of exchange. So no acceptor of a bill of exchange shall be permitted to deny that drawer had authority to draw such bill or to endorse it. So if suppose I am from A, B is accepting a check, then A cannot deny that B had no authority to give that check. If he had no authority to give that check, then why B is accepting it? However, what he can say is that certainly the person, by suppose if A has signed the bill, but the bill should have been signed by C, the check, then that can be claimed, but it cannot be claimed that A has no authority to sign it. Then second in that section 17 is about estoppel of bailee. A bailee cannot deny that bailer had no authority to make bailment at the time when bailment was made. So when if A is giving something on bail to B, then B cannot deny that A didn't had any authority to give to make the bailment. And similarly, third deals with that estoppel with regard to licensee, that no licensee shall be permitted to deny that licensor had no authority to grant license at the time when it was made. So if A is giving some license to B and B is accepting it, then B later on cannot deny that A had no authority to give that license. So these are regarding the stoppels which operate with it. Now one thing here is stoppel by attestation. So So if I have signed a document as a witness, suppose as a witness I have signed a document. Now thing is that I don't know about the contents of the document. Then in that case I am not stopped from denying the contents of the document. But if I have signed and I accept that I have read it and I know about the contents of document, then the law of estoppel would allow, and in that case I will be stopped. It will be estoppel by attestation. Mere attestation will not estoppel me, or will not estoppel the person signing as witness, because it is that about the contents. Signing as a witness doesn't certify that he knows the contents of the document also. So that is all. I once again say an attestator ordinary course knows nothing of the contents of document. So he is not stopped by from denying the truth of the document. But if he knows about the contents, then the estoppel operates. So that is all about section 116 and 117. And 116, it says about two things: estoppel of tenant, that he cannot deny that landlord had no right to the immovable property during the continuance of tenancy, and estoppel with regard to licensee from a person in possession. The person who gets the license cannot deny that the person in possession has no right to give the license. However, remember, it is regarding the time of commencement of the tenancy or the license. About subsequent developments, certainly evidence can be given and no estoppel would apply. Then sections 117, three things or three types of estoppels are given. Estoppel with regard to acceptor of bill of exchange. He cannot deny that the drawer had no authority to draw it. Then estoppel regarding bailee, that he cannot deny that the bailer had no authority to give that bailment. And estoppel regarding licensee, that the licensee cannot deny that licensor had no authority to grant license at the time when it was made. Remember, in all these cases, it's about the commencement, at the time of commencement. About subsequent development, certainly evidence can be given. That's all. Thank you, friends.